Deon Lynd, and how would you describe yourself, Deon?
Well, how I describe myself and how other people describe themselves are two completely different things. I love motorbikes. As you can see around here, I live and breathe motorcycles. Sidecars, and Harleys, and trail bikes, and collectibles, and just a motorcycle for you.
The first I heard of you was being in Tasmania and being quite good on a sidecar then. So, where did you grow up? Where did all this start?
I'm Tasmanian born and bred. I started racing sidecars in 1984, swinging for my cousin Ian Marshall. Then I swung for Ron Blackerby the following season, and then I progressed into riding in '86. For a guy called Graham Pearce. He supplied the bike, which was a copy of a Nashmobile with a Suzuki Katana motor in it. But from the age of 12 and a half in 1979, I used to hitchhike to the Speedway to watch the sidecars at Latrobe. So from my place to Latrobe was about 6 or 7 k's, and at 12 and a half I used to hitchhike to the Speedway to watch sidecars.
That's really cool. I always am so interested to see how people get their journey into a speedway and that. But back then in Tasmania, was there a speedway scene that was quite big, or was it a very small thing?
No, Tasmania is a small place, and the speedway scene was big. Super sedans, sprint cars, modifieds, the whole divisions, the Formula 500s, GP midgets. Average crowds back in the day through the 80s when I was riding, 3,000 people. Sidecars, we ended up having about 15 through the progression from 86 through to 94, 95.
It's interesting you talk about crowds so large because, we would kill for those sort of crowds nowadays. So was it a case of it was a pretty petrol head style?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, there was some petrol heads about, but there was no social media, so like you either followed football, cricket, or speedway, But nowadays, you don't seem to have the younger generation going to the speedway anymore. They seem to stay at home and watch it on live feed or talk to each other on their phones. That's what I've found anyway.
Did you find it a big jump to actually be on the handlebars?
No, not really. I progressed from passenger to riding with no practice, straight into main events, and within 6 meetings we got second in the state title.
What's it like to actually get a measure of how fast you are and how good you are by actually placing in your state in quite a good position?
Well, that's what the aim is. You start off B grade, and you progress to A grade, and then the faster guys you use as a yard.
So you are controlling yourself pretty well at the moment, and that because we are on camera, and it's not being fake, it's being professional, and you know, we are two blokes having a chat, but I did want to touch on that because you're doing a very good job of it.
Well, yes, everyone that knows me knows I use very fluent, creative adjectives, and I'm refraining from using my adjectives.
You started in an era, and you've gone through quite many years racing as well. What's it been like, speed-wise and ease of riding, with the frames and things like that?
I started on a conventional, stand up and fight them. If they're set up right, they handle, they go okay. Then I progressed to the Nashmobile, the underslung bike, or copy of the Suzuki, which were really good. And then we went to the Mitch in '94, and that's like chalk and cheese. Now, we were still running the Yamahas right through the 90s to 2000s, and I still had my original bike up until we started 4 or 5 years ago, and they're still fast, don't get me wrong, but the FZRs have now run their race. I've got a very, very quick FZR there, along with Mark Place's is quick, Damien Niche's is quick, and a few others, but compared to that BMW that I'm looking at just there, it's like comparing a 500 horsepower SLR Tirana with a 308 in it to a 500 horsepower Dodge Challenger. You know, they do exactly the same thing, but one does it with ease and the other one is difficult to ride. You know, one's an animal and one's... I don't think the speed's much better. It's just the engines have got quicker, and you know, like the BMW 192 horsepower stock standard. We're struggling to get 190 horsepower out of a Yamaha with 20,000 spent on it, you know. But they're just different animals. The handling and the characteristics of the bike are basically the same. They haven't changed in 25 years. You know, they're a little bit refined. I build my own chassis now. We've changed a lot of things. I'm involved with the boys from Pace Innovations up at Yatala that design and build all the V8 supercars. Mine have been three-dimensional, scanned and put through a series of tests on their computer, and we've come up with a thing that works really good for me anyway, along with a lot of machine parts that they've produced for me for the bikes. It's expensive, but hey, quality's expensive.
It seems like you've got the development at the forefront of your mind and progressing things forward and that, and yes, it does cost money, but it's money well spent because things are going to keep coming along. Now, your frames in particular are interesting to me because you've done the research and you've tailored things to what you want. Do you find that's more what sidecar racing is about, is tailoring to what you require to be able for you to ride better or
Well, yeah, for me in particular, I have designed them to suit me and my team. Like, through the years, Clevy's been running one of my chassis since the late 90s, early 2000s, and we keep tweaking things, you know. He'll tell me this, we do that, we'll incorporate that into the next chassis, and go into another bit of a story. Then I'd retired for 13 years, hadn't built a bike, hadn't been, my old Yamaha was just chucked in the corner with a rug over it, hadn't worried about it too much, and then Sam Harrison rings and said, I want a new frame. I go, oh yeah, what are we doing? He goes, I want to build one around these new R1s. And I go, oh yeah? He said, oh, but I've also got a BMW. I said, let's do the BMW, it hasn't been done. So that's what we did, I started building him one. I said, nah, I think I'll build two, one for me. So I bought an engine, I built him one, and I built myself one, and then on the progression through, we've got it nearly spot on. But saying that, the BMW engine is the closest thing to fit into a frame as an FZR that you will get. And I cannot tell the handling difference between my BMW and my FZR at all. But we've got that pretty well. My original Mitch that I bought in '94, I jigged that. I built a couple of bikes out of that. Russell doesn't like the idea because the LCR Lindy copies Russell. I thought I'd chuck that in there for you, Russell. Love you. The God of Speedway. But yeah, he can think what he wants. I don't really care.
I've noticed around here your presentation is the next level. I've found in my time that, you know, people work with what they got, but if you look very professional, everything just flows on. Why is it so important for you to look so professional?
My dad raced trotters for years and years and years and years and years. And he didn't always have the fastest horses, but he would do their mains, he would do their feet with oil, he made them look good, and he had a special race day rug, and he always said, we might have the fastest horses, but we're going to have the best looking ones. And people look at that, and I am a show-off, but I have issued a challenge. Anyone who sees my gear at the track, we are over the top, but this is where I want to take sidecars. So I've issued the challenge. Compete against me.
It's really cool to see the big bright colours, the very well laid out bikes, and I think if nothing else, it's definitely going to attract fans and sponsors.
Oh, definitely. Like, if I'm walking through the pits and there's someone there running on a shoestring budget, but I can tell that he puts his heart and soul into that bike, if it's looking good and it's clean and all he's struggling for is a bit of splash, you know, you can cut through and think, well, he's the type you want to sponsor.
You find problems when you clean your bike down. When you clean everything down, you do the maintenance, you actually find issues. So that's one of the crucial parts to presenting well.
Yeah, that's correct. A couple of people I've helped out in recent times spin right out when I say there's 10 hours maintenance and preparation minimum before you go racing. You know, like we can spend a whole day washing a bike. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever watched Trelaw wash his bike. He'll wash it 2 or 3 times and blow it off, and like that's his protocols of what he does. I don't go to the extreme he does, but we spend a fair bit of time on wash and prep. But you have to, and before you go racing, your bike has to be, all your measurements have to be done. You have to do your measurements on your front end, make sure everything's right. You do your measurements on your chair wheel, your measurements, so you have a base parameter that you turn up at the track with, obviously an oil change and your fuel system working and everything looking good, and then you've got no dramas at the track with charged batteries. You know, it doesn't sound like much, but I've raced for a lot of years and people turn up at the track and they're charging their bloody batteries at the track and they're peeling mud off to get their back wheel out. Like, to me, that's laziness. You know, these are high-end, finely tuned race bikes, and you have to prepare them as such, you know.
Also too, Australia's a very big country and there's a lot of travel time in it. Like one of my friends travels 20 hours to go race down at Tamworth, and then he can unroll his stuff out of the trailer and go straight out to practice. Whereas I think it leads back to the safety thing, not being prepared. And also, it seems like a lot of travel to get there and struggle. Whereas you can get off the trailer with everything clean, prepped, like you said, a base setup, and then you can go straight out and work on chasing your setup.
That's correct. Well, what we were doing, being spoiled again, Sam would fly in from Adelaide to here, whether we were travelling north to Ayr or travelling south to Mildura, but before we loaded the bikes in the trailer, he would go out and do 10 laps. So he's already got his eye in before he leaves, not a week or 2 weeks ago when he had a ride. Our bikes are ready to go out of the trailer, and if we've ever had any trouble, it's because we're trying new things, and it's all R&D because no one's ever run BMWs before, so it's just been a test and tune right through.
What is looking past the front wheel?
Looking past the front wheel. A lot of people look at their front wheel and they don't determine what's in front of them. I scan at least 10 to 15, maybe 20 metres in front of me. You're looking for your line, you're looking for ruts in the track. Looking past the end of your nose, you've got to find your line. You've got to make sure you know where you're putting your front wheel into the corner, you know, and people who are just looking at the ground in front of them are a danger on the track.
You really do have the total facility here, and it really shows on track as well. So as we'll kind of wind down for this segment of the video, who has helped you along the way that you clearly have a long relationship with now?
Along the way, just support, is that what you mean?
Just in general, like you've made friends with and helped you with your riding and build yourself, and you're still friends with now.
Oh, geez. I'll tell you the opposite. My passenger from the 90s, when I first bought my first Midge in 94, Lee Hazelwood, he's lived on the Gold Coast. We actually had an accident at Latrobe and he broke his back and retired, and that was in 94, 95, and he has been helping me out here since we've got back into the sport again. He come to New Zealand and proved for me when I raced over New Zealand in 2000, but he's invaluable. Sam Harrison. It's just everyone's a phone call away, so everyone's had a little bit to throw into the mix over the years. So yeah, we just put it all together, consolidate it all together, and we work out what works and what doesn't.
You've got quite a few things on the go, and one of them in particular is you brought a little Aussie Legend Speedway car. So what was the deal with that thing?
A mate of mine, one of my sponsors, RJ Batteries, Nathan Black, he races a sprint car. He said, my mate's got one of these little Legend cars, we need that to practice, can we come down and have a chat? I said, well, what's that? He said, oh, those little Legend cars. I said, oh, what, Aussie cars? He said, oh, no, they're little hot rods. I said, oh, yeah, got FJ1200s in it. So we brought it down. Spent a few hours here tearing up my track. I reckon this would be a really good division for Pioneer Park. So I contacted John Dennehy, the franchise owner based out of Goulburn, and he come and visited me when they come up to go out to Archerfield. Anyway, he offered me a car, and I thought, yeah, I'm about to buy it, but another one come up at the right price. I bought a car with a spare engine and a tray for 10k. Now that's cheap racing, anyway, don't get it. So when he come out here, him and his missus, we come up with the idea of a state of origin. So there's about 30 of these Goulburn way, and there's about 8 out here at Brisbane. So I'm going to have my car up there. If everything goes right, I'll probably buy another car shortly. So my 2 cars are for guest drivers. Now, I know a lot of people. I've teed up some guest drivers to come up and drive. So we'll start off small and probably end up with 5, 6, 7 cars up there, and they'll run in conjunction with my sidecar and solo events. So I think I've covered this before. So predominantly sidecars, solo support, classic sidecar support, Harley flat tracker support, legend car support, and outlaw go-kart support. The outlaw go-karts are the little ones with the wings on them, running 450s. I don't like stocking fillers. I want major events, and each event that will be at Pioneer Park will be a major event, whether it's speedway or burnouts, because burnouts is a really big thing up there as well. But yeah, the little legend car, man, went around my track out here, perfect, does not do any damage. So yeah, I think it'll just complement what I'm doing up there. Still motorcycle based with a bike engine. So yeah, that's where we're going with that.
So we're sitting here, Deon, with your lovely wife, and it's very interesting for me, from my point of view, to hear the partner side of things when the husband competes or whatever it may be. So what's your side of things when you're at the track, when Deon's out on track?
When he started, it was a bit of a... I didn't know anything about it at all. I'd never actually seen a sidecar race. But now that I've sort of got to know the riders and their wives and his friends from the speedway, it's actually a lot of fun, and I do enjoy watching the racing. If he's out on track, I just obviously go out and watch him and video his races for him, so he can sort of look back and see how he did and correct anything that they think they saw.
And also, we talked leading up to this about actually hopping on a sidecar yourself. So how did that come about? Where was it, and what's the details?
Deon sort of planted the seed, as he likes to say.
Can I say something? She wouldn't get on with me. She reckons I'm too loose, so she gets on with Clevey. And Clevey says, I'll take it easy, and then anyone knows his little cackle. Alright, so she'll take over.
Yeah, I trusted Clevey because I'm on the back of a Harley with him, so and he does things I don't like him doing. Clevey said he'd go only as fast as I wanted, and if I was okay with the lap we did, he'd go a little bit faster. Yeah, but as I said, I was terrified. All I could see was dirt, and I was just hanging on. And I could hear he was getting faster by the sound of the engine. And then everyone said to me he was cracking, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's over 3/4 pace around the track around here. She's done a good job. She's like an oyster just stuck to the back.
I wasn't moving.
But, hey, you can't get in on anyone with any more experience than him. And then I didn't get in.
Well, I think it's a win-win on that, and I think it's important for people to actually be on a sidecar, even if it's only once, just to understand how fast they are. And with all that, I think it gives you a better appreciation of what they actually are.
Yeah.
Yes, they go pretty fast. I mean, they don't look fast on the track sometimes, but they're fast when you're just seeing dirt.
And as a couple, what's your favourite part about the whole speedway thing? Is it about the excuse to go somewhere else and see another part of Australia, or is it just spending the time together on the road trips, or what is it?
I don't know, it's just fun. It's just, you're only gone for a couple of days. It sort of breaks the week, and it's just that atmosphere. I think, everyone's excited that there's a race day on and just catching up with people. COVID obviously has put a bit of a dampener on that for everyone. So yeah, looking forward to when we actually have another race day, hopefully soon.
Well, it's been awesome to get the two sides of the whole point of view thing here, and I just want to say thank you to both of you for having me down here, and we'll move on to the next part of the video stuff.
Too easy.
Thank you.